I'll never forget the first time I set foot in that Blimpie restaurant. It was just like any other fast food joint, or so I thought. Little did I know that my time working there would become a chilling tale that still haunts my nightmares. My name is Alex, and I was an ordinary college student looking for a part-time job to make ends meet. That's when I saw the Help Wanted sign hanging in the window of Blimpie. I walked in, greeted by the smell of fresh bread and sizzling bacon. The manager, Mr. Thompson, hired me on the spot. The first few days were uneventful. I trained alongside Jenny, a friendly coworker who had been there for years. She taught me the ropes, from how to build sandwiches to the secret ingredient mix for the famous Blimpie sauce. One night, as Jenny and I were closing up shop, she leaned in and whispered, "Alex, there's something you should know about this place." I looked at her, puzzled. "What do you mean?" She glanced around as if checking for eavesdroppers. "Strange things happen here, especially after closing time. You'll see, just keep your eyes open." I shrugged it off as a joke or a way to spook the new guy. After all, Blimpie was just a sandwich shop, right? But as the days turned into weeks, I started to notice peculiar occurrences. It began with the soft, almost inaudible whispering. At first, I thought it was the wind or the old air conditioning system. But it persisted, and it sounded like a group of hushed conversations just out of earshot. I'd turned to ask Jenny if she heard it, but she always seemed oblivious. One evening, while I was scrubbing the floors, I caught a glimpse of movement in the corner of my eye. It was quick, like a shadow darting behind the condiment station. My heart raced, when I investigated, there was nothing there. I brushed it off as stress and fatigue, but the feeling of being watched never left me. Closing shifts became increasingly unsettling. The whispering grew louder, and sometimes it felt like it was right behind me. I'd whirl around, but the restaurant was always empty, except for Jenny and me. Then, the oddest thing happened. I was restocking the soda machine one night, and I glanced into the mirrored surface. In the reflection, I saw Jenny standing behind me, grinning with a sinister glint in her eye. But when I turned around, there was no one there. I rushed over to the prep area, where Jenny was busy wrapping up sandwiches, and asked if she had been behind me a moment ago. She furrowed her brow. "No, Alex, I've been right here." I shivered, feeling a chill crawl up my spine. I thought I saw someone behind me in the mirror. Jenny laughed it off, saying it was probably just my imagination playing tricks on me. But I knew what I had seen, and it wasn't my imagination. As the weeks went by, my anxiety grew. I became obsessed with finding the source of the whispering and the strange occurrences. I started staying late after closing, hoping to catch whatever or whoever was causing it. Jenny grew concerned, but she couldn't convince me to stop. One night, as I was alone in the kitchen, I heard the whispering again. It was so close, I could almost make out the words. My heart pounded in my chest as I followed the sound to the walk-in refrigerator. The cold air hit me like a wall, but I didn't hesitate. I opened the door. Inside, the whispering was deafening. The voices seemed to be coming from the stacks of boxes and shelves lined with ingredients. I scanned the room, my flashlight trembling in my hand. And then I saw it. A pale figure, hunched over, dressed in the tattered remnants of a Blimpie uniform. Its skin was ashen, and its eyes were vacant, staring at nothing. It whispered incoherently, the words lost in a sea of gibberish. I stumbled back, slamming the refrigerator door shut. I couldn't breathe. That thing was an employee, just like me, but something had gone terribly wrong. I ran out of the kitchen, my heart pounding, and found Jenny at the front counter. "What's wrong?" she asked, seeing the terror in my eyes. I stammered out what I had seen in the walk-in refrigerator. Jenny's face drained of color, and she grabbed my arm, pulling me towards the exit. "Alex, we need to leave. Now." We burst out of the restaurant into the cool night air. I turned to look back at Blimpie, and that's when I saw them. More figures, dozens of them, all dressed in Blimpie uniforms, slowly emerging from the shadows inside the restaurant. Their eyes were empty, their faces twisted in anguish. Jenny and I ran to our cars, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. We sped away from that place, vowing never to return. I quit my job the next day, and I never saw Jenny again. To this day, I can't explain what happened at that Blimpie. I don't know who those figures were or why they haunted the restaurant after hours. I've tried to forget, but the memory of their lifeless eyes and the incessant whispering still haunts my nightmares. Blimpie, once just a fast food joint to me, has become a place of dread and darkness that I can never escape. After that horrifying encounter at Blimpie, I couldn't bring myself to set foot in that restaurant ever again. I quit my job the very next day, leaving behind the sandwiches and the secrets that seemed to fester within its walls. My decision to leave was met with mixed reactions. Mr. Thompson, the manager, tried to convince me to stay, offering excuses and explanations for what had happened. He claimed it was all a prank, a twisted initiation that had gone too far. But I could see the fear in his eyes, the uncertainty that lingered beneath his words. Jenny, on the other hand, understood my choice. She didn't try to talk me out of it or convince me to stay. Instead, she nodded solemnly when I told her I was leaving, as if she had been waiting for this moment. She handed me my final paycheck, and as I walked away from the restaurant, she whispered, "You made the right choice, Alex. Don't ever come back." I didn't need any more convincing. I was done with Blimpie, with the whispering, and with the haunting figures in the walk-in refrigerator. I thought I could leave it all behind, but I was wrong. Even though I no longer worked there, Blimpie continued to haunt me in my dreams. I would wake up in a cold sweat, the voices of the figures echoing in my mind. I couldn't escape the feeling of being watched, as if they were still lurking in the shadows, waiting for me to return. Weeks turned into months, and I tried to move on with my life. I found another job, made new friends, and tried to forget about the horrors of Blimpie. But no matter how hard I tried, the restaurant remained a dark cloud that hung over me. One evening, as I was walking home from my new job, I noticed a familiar sight up ahead, the neon Blimpie sign glowing in the distance. I froze in my tracks, my heart pounding in my chest. It couldn't be. I had left that place behind, never to return. But as I got closer, I realized that it was indeed Blimpie. I felt a strange pull, a magnetic force drawing me towards it. I tried to resist, to turn and walk away, but my feet moved of their own accord. I entered the restaurant, a smell of fresh bread and sizzling bacon assaulting my senses. The place was empty, except for Mr. Thompson, who was behind the counter. He looked at me with a strange, almost mournful expression. "Welcome back, Alex," Hick said, his voice trembling. "We've been waiting for you." I tried to run, to escape from the nightmare that had once been my workplace, but the doors were locked. I was trapped inside Blimpie, with Mr. Thompson standing in my way. As I looked around, I saw them, the figures that had haunted my dreams, the ones I thought I had left behind. They emerged from the shadows, their eyes empty, their faces twisted in anguish. They whispered incoherently, their words a cacophony of gibberish. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. They closed in on me, their cold, lifeless hands reaching out to touch me. I wanted to scream, to escape, but I was trapped in this nightmare. And then, just as they were about to engulf me, I heard a voice, Jenny's voice. She appeared beside me, her eyes filled with determination. "Alex, you can't let them take you," she said. "You have to break free." With a surge of adrenaline, I fought against the grip of the figures. I pushed them away, their whispers fading into the distance. I ran towards the doors and, miraculously, they swung open. I stumbled out of Blimpie, gasping for breath. I didn't look back as I sprinted away from that cursed place. I never saw Mr. Thompson or Jenny again, and I never returned to Blimpie, not in my dreams or in reality. To this day, I don't know what those figures were or why they seemed so intent on keeping me within the walls of Blimpie. But I do know one thing: that restaurant is a place of darkness and dread, a place I can never escape. And though I left my job there, Blimpie will forever be a part of me, a chilling reminder that some horrors are not easily forgotten.